Welcome into Chicago Bears Now. We've got some news from the past half hour or so. Eddie Goldman, the Bears nose tackle, has opted out of the 2020 NFL season, so we'll have all the news surrounding that, plus some potential replacements that Chicago could add for this upcoming year. So let's get to the information here. He has opted out due to health concerns around COVID-19. Look, this is a significant blow to the Bears defense. He's been a staple to that defensive line for 4 or 5 years now, starting at that nose tackle spot, and the Bears don't really have a natural replacement on the roster. Now, they did add John Jenkins earlier in free agency, a veteran guy, but it's more of a backup rotation type of piece. So I don't know if that's the answer you're looking for. Sure, Goldman's stats don't jump off the page, but that's not really what a nose tackle provides. He's not going to be a 6 to 8 sack guy and have 50 tackles. His job is to eat up blockers in this 3-4 scheme and let guys like Khalil Mack and Akeem Hicks eat and get after the quarterback. That's what he's done the past several years. That's going to be missed for the Bears this upcoming season. So this is kind of what the 3 defensive lineman depth chart looks like now. Sure, you got Hicks, you got Nichols on the outside still. Roy Robertson-Harris's role may have just increased a bit because he'll probably rotate in more. Maybe Hicks slides into that inside spot on occasion. John Jenkins there, is he ready to be a 50, 60, 70% snaps for the season this year? I'm not so sure. Now, he's a vet. His numbers in Miami last year, 34 tackles, 1 sack, couple tackles for loss, quarterback hit. Again, a nose tackle's job isn't going to litter up the stat sheet. It's more of doing the dirty work and taking on blockers like I mentioned. But he is no Eddie Goldman. Like, John Jenkins is not an answer, a 16-game answer for Eddie Goldman. At the very least, you've got to bring in some depth here, bring in some guys who can come in and compete. And that's why I got some players we'll get to in just a few moments. First, though, I want your one-word reaction to Eddie Goldman opting out in 2020. It's hard to put it in one word, right? Because on one hand, you're like, well, I understand, there are concerns. On the other, it's, there is some disappointment, right? Like, the Bears were hoping to bounce back this year, and now they've lost a significant piece to their defense. So give me your one-word reaction. This will be the pinned comment on today's video. Top of the comment section. Scroll on down there and cast your votes right there. So the salary cap impact, before I get to some replacements here, is, look, this is the one positive of this, right? Like, set to count $10.8 million against the cap this year. About $7.9 of that gets freed up this year because there's a couple million for signing bonus, roster bonus, those type of things. So those still count against the cap. But the rest of this will get pushed back a year. So now, for example, before this happened, he was set to be a free agent in 2023. Now he won't be a free agent in 2024. So Goldman will come back next year. He'll still be under contract for a few years. And for the immediate impact, almost $8 million in salary cap money gets freed up, which is significant because what I would do with that money, the first move I would do is go sign Larry Warford. Now, he's not an Eddie Goldman replacement. I've got a few of those, trust me, but they need a right guard badly. Why not use some of this money? Because you're, well over $15 million in cap space now, and we know he wanted roughly $7 million per year. Why not go sign Larry Warford and beef up this offensive line? Turn this negative into a positive and fill a need that is desperately, desperately needed. We've talked about it the past few months. I thought they should have explored this before this, but now there's really no reason not to because there is money there to do it. Rashad Coward, Jermaine Ifedi, they're not the answer. Maybe they can piece together, a decent production for this season. Why not get a guy you can sign for 3 or 4 years potentially and be an anchor on the inside part of that offensive line? That's what I would do. That is the first call I make if I'm the Chicago Bears. So should the Bears sign Larry Warford? Type Y for yes, type N for no. Let me know down in the comments section. For me, I think it's simple. Go and get your guy. Now, as far as guys who can actually replace Goldman on the defensive line, how about Snacks Harrison? We've talked about him a couple of times this offseason. Still out there, still available. Now, look, his best days are probably behind him. I still think he's a valuable run stopper. Did not fit well in Detroit's culture. Talked about how he did not even want to go there in the first place when the Giants traded him. But I think he's a guy who's cheap, a quality option, and a guy who has some familiarity with the NFC North. I think he can come in, be that fatty at nose tackle, about 350 pounds, eat up some blockers, and have some value there on the Bears' defensive line. Now, Tom Pelissero did have this tweet earlier today about Snacks. Basically, he's weighing whether or not to play this year, too. Has options as a free agent, but with the newborn at home and other family concerns, he's still gathering info to make an educated decision on whether he'll play in 2020 for source. One of the top defenders still available. And look, like Eddie Goldman, there are guys, and you're seeing it across the NFL. I think we're in double digits now in terms of players who have decided to opt out. Players are concerned, so it's possible Snack says, hey, I'm going to sit out. But I'll also say for him and the other aging players that are kind of fringe guys at this point, he sits out this year, could be the end of his career. So I'm sure he's weighing all of that. I would love to see the Bears get him and bring him on board for 2020. We'll just have to wait and see what happens. All right, Bears fans, why don't you go ahead and get subscribed to the channel? A lot of you guys watch all of our videos, but you don't subscribe. I don't really get it. It's 100% free. We've got the latest rumors. We put videos out very quickly when news like this happens. We do mailbags. We do more different type of segmented videos as well. We'll have training camp updates throughout the next couple of weeks. The link is down below, youtube.com/BearsNow, but just hit that red subscribe button today. Next up here is Marcell Dareus, and he's been bad the past several years. He was really good early on in his career, got the bag, and now he hadn't been the same guy since. Got that huge $96 million deal in 2015. Did not play that well, got banged up, I believe, in 2016 as well. Now, he's a big body who can at least rotate in, provide some depth there. I don't know if he's a guy you want being your primary nose tackle there, but he's going to be cheap. He's got some experience. He's been around the league for a while. If you want to get a guy for dirt cheap that can at least rotate in, I think Marcell Dareus is a guy worth calling. Obviously, you guys see the dip in production. It's been a pretty constant decline over the past few years, but he's still only 30, 31 years old. You got to figure he's got a little bit left in the tank. Maybe he's not that motivated after getting all that money a few years ago. Now, pick a defensive tackle to sign. Type DH for Damon Harrison. Type MD for Marcell Dareus. I would rather bring in Snacks, so I'm typing my DH. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments section. Darius, probably a little bit cheaper, but I think Snacks is certainly worth it. And the Bears have plenty of money. They could get Harrison and Larry Warford. Go do it. That's what I say here in the end. All right, we got Bears face coverings available. Obviously, NFL players are concerned, and if we want things to be normal, hopefully by 2021, stadiums can be jam-packed again. But if you're allowed to go to games this year and maybe even next year, you're probably going to have to wear one of these. So go to chatsports.com/Bears masks. Tons of different styles. We got solo ones, 2-packs, 3-packs, 4-packs. It's all available at that link, chatsports.com/Bears masks. 4-packs, by the way, best bang for your buck. It's 4 for $29.99. So that link will be in the comments and the description. One more time, it's chatsports.com/Bears masks. Xavier Williams next up here. Spent his last couple of seasons with the Chiefs. Now, 2019, he was banged up a lot. By the time he was healthy, Mike Pennell had been brought in, and he just basically took his spot there. But he's a promising young player, in my opinion, who showed some good things in 2018. I think you could bring him in for pretty cheap right now, maybe on a multi-year deal, and he could offer Jenkins some competition for that nose tackle role. I think that would be kind of a 1-2 punch rotation type where, maybe Jenkins is 1A, Williams is 1B. Look at what he did in 2018. This is not bad. 47 tackles, 2.5 sacks, which is good production from that spot. A couple of tackles for loss, had the forced fumble. I like what I saw from Williams in Kansas City a couple of years ago. Got drafted by Arizona, didn't really work out. Chiefs brought him in, played pretty well. Got banged up last year. Bring him in this year on a cheap deal? I think it makes some sense. Now, one more name here is Mike Daniels, the veteran. Plays some defensive tackle, some defensive end. Kind of undersized for that nose tackle role, but a guy that's not going to cost you anything. And maybe he's a rotation guy at both spots, right? He can play inside, he can play outside. Now, he certainly has not been as good the past couple of years. He's also been banged up, missed some time with injuries. And like I said, 6 foot, about 305, 310, a little small for that nose tackle role. He's certainly no Snacks Harrison in that regard, but he's played a lot in the NFC North. He's played with the Packers, spent some time with Detroit as well. So I think he's a guy you could at least bring in, see how much he's got left in the tank. I don't think you're going to get 2017 Mike Daniels where you get 5 sacks and almost 50 tackles, but could he rotate in? Could he cost you about $2 million? I think that could be an option for the Chicago Bears. So let me know, who should the Bears sign to replace Eddie Goldman? Let me know down in the comments section. I would go with Snacks Harrison. That's the name that intrigues me the most. I think he fits the role the best. Go get him and Larry Warford. You got the money, Bears. Do it. Go get those 2 players. I'm saying Snacks. Let me know who you guys want to sign to replace Eddie Goldman. Wanted to hit this news quickly as well. Artavis Pierce, the rookie UDFA that we've talked about a little bit, a running back, who, in my opinion, was and could still be set to compete for a roster spot. Well, unfortunately, he's been placed on the COVID-19 reserve list. Now, that doesn't mean he's tested positive. What it does mean is that he's been in contact with someone who does have it. So, again, kind of like with players opting out, you're seeing a lot of players on different teams getting placed on this COVID-19 reserve list. I know Justin Jefferson for the Vikings, first-round pick, has been placed on it as well. He will return at some point, just unclear when that'll be, hopefully before training camp really gets ramped up. And again, I think he's going to compete for a roster spot at this point. Now, Napoleon Maxwell certainly benefits from this because I think he was behind Pierce in the pecking order, but I like what Pierce brings to the table as a runner, a pretty good pass catcher as well out of Oregon State. And you look at the depth chart with David Montgomery and Tariq Cohen as kind of your 1-2 punch, thunder and lightning there. Ryan Nall, Artavis Pierce, Napoleon Maxwell, the other guys competing there. I thought Pierce had a chance to be that RB3 there. Does this set him back? We'll have to wait and see once training camp gets going and when he gets off of that COVID-19 reserve list.